Welcome back to another episode of Avid Fantasy Football. We got the wide receiver start sit video here today for Week 11. Why don't we go ahead and jump into this one here. Bengals, Ravens kicking off our Thursday night game. Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, go ahead and start both of them. I don't think people realize what Boyd has been able to do the last couple weeks here, with Higgins missing 2 weeks now, but Boyd has also been a little consistent throughout the last 5 to 6 weeks here now. Last week, he had a really good game against Houston. 8 catches, 12 targets, and 113 yards. That's really good for Tyler Boyd. And the Bengals are going up against the Ravens here in a game that they pretty much have to win to continue to fight here for the division, if not even the division, a wild card spot at this point. And like I hinted earlier, T. Higgins is out the last 2 weeks. He's going to continue to be out this week as well. So that being said, Trenton Irwin is going to be a sit in this matchup. Now, Ravens side of the ball, Zay Flowers, a cautionary start. He did pretty decent, 5 catches, on 6 targets for 73 yards against the Browns last week. So that's really good for him going up against the 18th ranked Bengals when it comes to points given up to wide receivers. Now, the rest of these guys, go ahead and set all of them. Odell Beckham did a really good job 2 weeks ago, and then last week, 1 catch, 2 targets, 40 yards, touchdown. 11 points isn't bad, but you can't bank on that every single week. We got to see more consistency for Odell before we can put him up there. But other than that, these other receivers, Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar, go ahead and sit them in this matchup. Now moving on, you got another divisional game here in the exact same division. Steelers and Browns, and Deontay Johnson, George Pickens are going to be cautionary starts here for me. They can produce. They struggled against the Packers last week. Didn't expect that to happen. But going up against the Browns, who are third against wide receivers, that's going to be a little bit of an issue. But again, they could produce. So if you have them flex play only, Allen Robinson is going to be a sit in this matchup. Brown side of the ball. No Deshaun Watson, but Amari Cooper I'll take. I'll take Amari Cooper as a start in this one. Elijah Moore with Dorian Thompson-Robinson did not do terrible in that week matchup. However, with him at the helm being a rookie, Elijah Moore does have upside. And if they want to double team Cooper, it's going to obviously open up Elijah Moore here. And then Cedric Tillman in this matchup is going to be a sit for me. Now you got the Raiders and the Dolphins here in this matchup. Devontae Adams is going to be a start for me. He's finally starting to get a little bit more looks his way consistently from Aiden O'Connell. And he's been able to do a little bit of damage from here and there. Jacoby Myers is going to be a cautionary start for me in this matchup. He's been the more consistent guy, but that was a lot of times with Jimmy Garoppolo. Now he's going to have to use Aiden O'Connell at quarterback, and he's been a little up and down so far with Jacoby Myers. So Jacoby Myers is going to be a cautionary start. Hunter Renfrow is going to be a sit. Dolphins side of the ball, this one's pretty easy. Tyreek Hill start. Jalen Waddle, though, I'm going to put as a cautionary start. He is questionable after dealing with a knee injury in Germany 2 weeks ago. Having that bye week does help. But the Raiders are 6 when it comes to points given up to wide receivers. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, his speed kills. But Jalen Waddle, he's speedy, don't get me wrong. But with that knee injury, he's a cautionary start. Chase Claypool is going to be a sit in this matchup. Next matchup, we got the Bears and the Lions. DJ Moore is going to be a start, especially with Justin Fields expected to be back this week. Darnell Mooney is going to be a cautionary start for me in this one. He struggled last week against the Panthers. Now he's going up against the Lions. A little bit of a better opportunity for him there, but it's still a cautionary start to see where Justin Fields is at. Obviously, he's going to hit DJ Moore more often. Tyler Scott, though, on the other hand, go and sit him. Lions side of the ball, this one's pretty easy. Amon-Ra St. Brown start. The rest of these guys, Josh Reynolds, Jameson Williams, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, are all going to be sits. Now you got the Titans and the Jaguars in this matchup. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a start for me in this one. Moving forward, Kyle Phillips has been pretty decent for the most part. Again, a security blanket for Will Levis, like I stated last week. So go ahead and put him as a cautionary start. Again, I'm not super confident in it, but obviously if they can, blow the doors off this game or they're falling behind, they're going to have to hit Kyle Phillips here. So Kyle Phillips is a flex play only for me if you absolutely need somebody. And then Treylon Burks is questionable still with that head injury. Had a concussion 2 weeks ago against Pittsburgh. Go ahead and have him sit. And then also Westbrook Ikine is going to be a sit for me as well. Jaguar side of the ball, Christian Kirk is going to be a start. Calvin Ridley, sit. Jamal Agnew, questionable, sit him. Notice how Zay Jones is not on here. That is because we got some legal issues. And I don't think Jacksonville is going to let him play in this game. So Christian Kirk is the only start for me in this matchup. Moving on, we got the Chargers and the Packers. And Keenan Allen will be the only start for me in this matchup. 11 catches, 14 targets, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns against Detroit. Yeah. Keenan Allen has been killing it. He does have a questionable tag, though, going into this week, so it's not on the screen. I forgot to add that. However, looking at what he's done, I'd expect him to play here. Now, Packers are number 5 against wide receivers with points. However, Keenan Allen being who Keenan Allen is, I'm going to go ahead and start him. Quentin Johnston and Jalen Guyton, go ahead and sit them. Packers side of the ball, Romeo Doubs, I'm going to give him a start. He performs consistently enough to get a start. Now, for me, he is more of a wide receiver 2 flex play. That is it. I'm not putting him in there immediately. Christian Watson, on the other hand, and Jaden Reed are all going, those two are going to be cautionary starts, and they are going to be flex play only starts. Christian Watson has been absolutely disappointing so far this season. Moving on, we have the Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans here. Marquise Brown and Rondale Moore are going to be cautionary starts for me in this matchup, going up against the 12th ranked Texans when it comes to points given up to wide receivers. Now, Michael Wilson is going to be a sit. Marquise Brown and Rondale Moore have put up decent amount of fantasy points last week, but not enough for me to just put them in as a start, especially going up against the Texans, who are just unbelievable right now, defense and offense. Texans, speaking of them, go ahead to their side of the ball. Noah Brown and Tank Dell are going to be starts for me in this one. The league has not figured out Noah Brown yet, and going up against the Cardinals, who have a really bad defense, those guys should continue to produce. Now, Nico Collins is questionable coming into this game. He is going to be a cautionary start for me, but again, Nico Collins, if he's healthy, I might move him up to a start. It's just with the amount of points that Brown and Dell have gotten the last 2 weeks, with Nico Collins being there 2 weeks ago, is a little concerning for Nico Collins' numbers. But being at home, Nico Collins definitely eats at the red zone targets, so keep that in mind moving forward. Now we got Dallas and the Panthers. CeeDee Lamb's going to be an automatic start for me. There is no doubt in my mind this dude should be starting for the rest of the year moving forward, especially, obviously, you're going to start with the playoffs, but this dude is unbelievable. Between him, Tyreek Hill, and A.J. Brown, those three are just stacking the deck for wide receiver contracts moving forward. Brandon Cooks, on the other hand, is going to be a cautionary start for me. Cooks, the last 3 weeks, 13 points, 1 point, 32 points. A little inconsistent, but in a game where they might be throwing a lot, just like they did against the Giants here, yeah, I think they can do some damage here. Now, Panthers side of the ball, Adam Thielen's going to be a cautionary start. Jonathan Mingo and DJ Chark are going to be a sit, and that same thing goes for Dallas's Michael Gallup in that situation as well. Giants and the Commanders here. Every single Giants wide receiver will be a sit in this matchup. Now, however, Washington side of the ball, Terry McLaurin's going to be a start. Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel are both cautionary starts. We just seen what they did. Now, Michael Gallup did really well against the Giants last week. So did Brandon Cooks, and so did CeeDee Lamb. So I expect these guys to be able to put up points. And Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel. I just don't know who's going to get the most. That's the only issue. But all these guys should be able to produce fantasy viable points. Dotson, Curtis Samuel, more of a low-end wide receiver 2, and a flex play. Terry McLaurin's more of a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 play for me this week. Now we have Tampa Bay and the San Francisco 49ers. Mike Evans is going to be a start for me in this matchup, and Chris Godwin's going to be a cautionary start. Trey Palmer is going to be a sit. It all depends on how Baker is actually able to complete passes and get accuracy. Obviously, they can hit Mike Evans short and deep down the field. Chris Godwin definitely has that ability as well, but obviously Baker's number one guy this year has been Mike Evans. He's in a pickle. Go ahead and throw it to Mike Evans. That's exactly what he ends up doing. 49ers side of the ball, though, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel are both going to be starts for me. Tampa Bay is ranked 29th against wide receiver points given up. Deebo Samuel, though, on the other hand, with that shoulder injury a couple weeks ago, he wasn't on my top 30 rankings for a reason. The reason being is he scored a lot of his points based on rushing. Let's see if they utilize that again this week. However, that being said, for that point of it, yeah, he's going to get points regardless of how you use him. It's just I got to see how that shoulder is last week, and it looked decent, so I'm going to go ahead and give him the start this week. Now, Jawan Jennings is going to be a sit in this matchup. Moving on, Jets, Bills. This one's kind of simple as well. We're going to go ahead and start Garrett Wilson. We're going to go ahead and start Stephon Diggs for these teams here. Jets side, Garrett Wilson's a start. Allen Robinson, sit. Randall Cobb's a sit. Buffalo, Stephon Diggs is a start. Shaquille Shahir and Gabe Davis are both going to be sits in this matchup. Jets are number 1 against wide receiver points given up. Yeah, I don't like those odds. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is going to be able to get what he does. Last week, to me, was a fluke. Look at his numbers every single week since then. He has been very, very fantasy viable. and will continue to be in this matchup moving forward. Seahawks and Rams, and this one's going to be interesting. I'm going to go ahead and start DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Yes, the Rams are 9th when it comes to points given up to wide receivers, but Geno Smith's going to ride that high. For his sake, for point-wise, I don't know if he's going to be able to do great. I think he'll be able to do decent. And that's why you'll find out where he's at with my quarterback video that comes out a little bit later today. Make sure you keep an eye on that one. But DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are going to be starts for me, and Jackson Smith and Jigba are going to be a cautionary start. Now, Rams side of the ball, Cooper Kupp's the start for me. That is Matthew Stafford's guy. Puka Nacua, cautionary start for me. He's been kind of fading off a little bit, so keep that in mind if you decide to play him. And then Tutu Atwell is going to be a sit. Minnesota Vikings and the Denver Broncos now on Sunday Night Football. Justin Jefferson is expected to be back. We'll probably get the news right after this video hits, more than likely. It's usually how that works. But Justin Jefferson, if he plays, and it's a big if still, I'm going to go ahead and start him. And on top of starting him, I'm going to go ahead and start Jordan Addison as well in this matchup. KJ Osborne and Brandon Powell, though, are going to be sits in this matchup. Now, on the other side here, this is where it gets a little tricky for me. Vikings are 25th when it comes to points given up to wide receivers. Courtland Sutton has been pretty decent here in Fantasy Viable. I would say more of a wide receiver 2 flex play for me for Courtland Sutton. Jerry Jeudy would 100% be a flex play for me in this matchup. Now, Marvin Mims is going to be a sit for this game. And then we got the Monday night game that ended here. Eagles, Chiefs. A.J. Brown, you're starting him. Devonta Smith, you're going to have a cautionary start for him. He had a couple good weeks here and there, but he hasn't been really consistent. And the Chiefs can get it a little stingy. They're 10th against points for wide receivers here. I mean, they're 10th ranked. Julio Jones is going to be a sit. Now, Chiefs side of the ball, even though the Eagles are dead last when it comes to points given up to wide receivers here, Rashee Rice is going to be my only start. This team is going to be able to look at Kelsey, Rashee Rice, and Isaiah Pacheco. Those are the 3 main guys. And also, Jerick McKinnon has been getting more involved as well in the passing game. So, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling are all going to be sits in this matchup. And that's going to do it for our wide receiver start sit video for Week 11. Make sure you like, subscribe if you made it all the way through. It helps us out a lot. Drop some comments in them below. We'll answer them as you need to. Give us, my starting. If you need a flex play, for instance, tell us, hey, I got this guy and I got this guy. Who do you think I should start? We're here for you. Hit us up. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And we're usually pretty quick with that as well. So go ahead and drop your comments. We appreciate all the support here. Good luck on your fantasy football matchups this week. Have a good one.